Good afternoon from Manaus, Brazil. I am going to be making my very first flight using the Fenix Airbus series, and it's actually also my first Airbus flight. I've been pretty much doing videos with the PMDG series of Boeing aircraft, a couple with the newer iFly series of Boeing with the MAX, 737 MAX. But in the spirit of just trying to keep an open mind and learning about different aircraft and the way they fly, I want to learn more about the Airbus. And I highly recommend the videos by Emmanuel, known as A330 driver. He has gone over most of the payware and freeware airplanes that are out there, and you can see from his work that he has done a lot with not just PMDG but also with this Fenix series of Airbus aircraft. I also installed the FS2 crew first officer, so Stephanie is going to be helping us out. We are going to be flying from Manaus to Sao Paulo. I'm going to be just recording the departure and arrival. It's going to be a 3+ hour flight, so we don't need to see everything. I am going to make a lot of mistakes. It's my first time actually flying the airplane. I've been watching some of the videos. My muscle memory right now is all Boeing pretty much, whether it's 737, 777. Also the way the airplanes fly, I know it's a little different. From what I understand, with the side stick here, with Airbus, it's all fly-by-wire, so I'm not going to feel the aircraft if it's pushing too far down or too far back. So the trim is very automatic. The trim is over here, but I will not be running that. That is automated in the series. And those of you who are Airbus fans understand very well how the Airbus flies, and obviously us Boeing people kind of have gotten used to the way our aircraft fly. So
hey guys, all packs are on board.
Stand
Are
by.
we clear to close?
Yes.
Thanks. Let me know if you need anything.
So like I said, I'm looking forward to learning this. Again, I've been watching a lot of instruction videos, so hopefully I get most of the procedures correct. I'll make mistakes. I know the aircraft, I mentioned already, it trims itself. I'm going to be using the side stick to obviously rotate and initial climb, but then just based on how the SOPs I'm seeing from the instruction videos and from real life videos, the autopilot is engaged fairly quickly. And then during arrival, I want to see how the stick behaves as far as getting me the right approach pitch and how much input I need to make once I release the autopilot, once I go into manual flight. So again, I'm looking forward to seeing that, but again, expect for me to make a lot of mistakes. I'm going to continue going this over the FS2 crew list here, so here we go. Before start checklist.
Parking brake.
Set.
Takeoff speeds and thrust.
Set and checked. Set and checked.
V1 4 3. VR 1 4 7. V2 1 4 8. Windows.
Set and checked.
Beacon.
On.
Before start checklist completed.
Locking gear.
TAM 3297, ready for IFR clearance to Guarulhos.
TAM 3297, Eduardo Gomez ground, expect runway 11, outbound 1 Alpha departure with the UTPAM transition, initial climb to flight level 060, squawk 5601.
UTPAM 1 Alpha departure with the UTPAM transition, squawk 5601, TAM 3297.
TAM 3297, read back correct. Call me back when ready for pushback or engine start.
Roger that, TAM 3297.
One thing I'm also getting used to is the flight management system on the Airbus. It's different than Boeing.
Set.
Let me go ahead and mute so my first officer does not respond. Okay, so yeah, it's a little bit different than Boeing. For example, to scroll down on the flight plan, you have to actually push the up arrow. In the Boeing FMC, we just do next page. So something to get used to, for sure. So I'm gonna go ahead and finish loading my departure and arrival, which I honestly totally forgot to do it. Again, as I'm getting familiar with the aircraft, just bear with me. Okay, so make sure we get all this. I think I need to insert the departure. Okay, and I don't have to do anything for Sao Paulo anytime soon. It's going to be a long flight, so as we get closer to Sao Paulo, I'll go ahead and enter the arrival data for that airport, for Guarulhos Airport. Okay, let me go ahead and request push and start.
TAM 3297, gate 16, request pushback and engine start.
TAM 3297, Eduardo Gomez ground, pushback and engine start approved. Face west.
Release parking
Pushback
brake.
approved, face west, TAM 3297.
Commencing push. All engines clear. Start at wheel.
Starting engine 2.
Okay.
Another big difference, I'm used to flicking the switch downward to turn something on Boeing. Here on Airbus it's the opposite. You gotta flick the switch upward. So the beacon, for example, here. Yeah, it's completely the opposite of Boeing. So a little bit of getting used to. Yeah. Again, not too bad. I think once I do a few flights, I'll have my Airbus procedures in my brain separate from my Boeing procedures, and I can honestly walk away from Boeing for a few months, come back and pretend I was only gone for one day. I never forget those procedures. So once I learn these Airbus procedures, I should be the same. Again, I remember what to do, but with these first few flights, I know it's gonna take a little bit of getting used to. Let's see. So I'm gonna monitor engine start. And as far as I know, there is no dual start. I have to wait for that available warning. That available instruction means I can start the next engine. But if for some reason, if you know that you can start both engines at the same time, let me know.
Reset parking brake.
Okay, so parking brake on.
Unlocking gear.
And this is like some of the other aircraft that I'm familiar with. You have to arm the auto spoiler for takeoff. I'm just gonna start a few takeoff procedures here. Okay, so arm the auto spoiler. We can go ahead and set the flaps to 1 while the other engine starts. If I look at my performance, I mentioned that the trim here is auto. Oh, we're gonna need flaps too. And we're gonna have up 0.8 on the trim. So 1, 2, 3,
Truck
4,
disconnected.
6, 7,
Bypass
8.
pin
So
remover.
that's all I need to do trim-wise, which is again very different from what I'm used to with Boeing.
Right is clear.
Oh, and it'd be nice to turn the fuel tanks on too. I am used to flying with my first officer, FS2 crew first officer, and the first officer turning the fuel tanks on. But apparently that did not happen here with the Airbus. I had to turn the fuel tanks on myself. I'm looking at the marshal, she's got the pin, so we're gonna be good to taxi here. I'm gonna go ahead and request permission, but then I'm gonna go through the flows.
TAM 3297, taxi for departure.
TAM 3297, runway 11, taxi via Alpha.
Runway 11 taxi via Alpha, TAM 3297.
And this should turn my weather radar on, I believe. Yeah, okay, my weather radar is on. Now, I have no idea if Phoenix did the same thing as PMDG and started using the basic Asobo weather data. We are in the middle of the Amazon rainforest, so thunderstorms are very common here. So I can see that the weather radar is on, but I'm not seeing any kind of returns right now. So I'll double check to see if Phoenix actually implemented the weather radar. Okay, let's see what I need to do on the list here to get going. It's a little different than Boeing, so again, bear with me. After start checklist.
Anti-ice.
Off.
Ecom status.
Set and checked.
Pitch trim.
Set and checked.
Rudder trim.
Set and checked.
After start checklist completed.
Clear left side.
Clear right side.
Brake check.
Pressure 0.
Flight control check.
Ready?
Okay, so compared to Boeing, I set my auto brake here, so I need to set it to max prior to takeoff, in addition to arming the auto spoiler. And I need to do a test of the takeoff configuration here. So this little button that says TO config. I'm going to test that. Okay. I'm also using the Thrustmaster Boeing TCA yoke. So to pretend that I'm using the side stick, I'm only going to hold on to the left side of the yoke and never touch the right side of the yoke, especially during manual flight. Because I know in Boeing, we grab both sides of the yoke during takeoff, especially. So I'll keep that in mind, just to make it as realistic as possible. I am not going to go out of my way to buy an Airbus side stick anytime soon. But I think I'll be able to manage using the Boeing yoke to control the Airbus. One thing I did not test is whether or not these Airbus aircraft can taxi on idle thrust. I have a A321 right now, and I am not fully loaded, so it should be a pretty relatively light for takeoff. Let me see what my rotation speed is. Yeah, V rotate 147, so I'm not really full. I don't remember the exact payload right now. But right now I'm on idle thrust.
Sam 3297, contact contact Eduardo Gomez Tower 118.3.
Over to Tower 118.3, TAM 3297.
So I'm gonna release the. I'm gonna stop the aircraft here at the threshold. Then I'm gonna release the brakes and see if idle thrust actually gets me moving. If not, I'll just use a little bit of thrust. Okay, so we're gonna get permission here.
TAM 3297, holding short, runway 11.
TAM 3297, Eduardo Gomez Tower, wind 095 at 6. Runway 11 cleared for takeoff.
Runway 11, cleared for takeoff, TAM 3297.
Takeoff clear. Oh, let me turn off the mute. Takeoff clearance received. Takeoff clearance received. Okay, so I think the FS2 crew command is takeoff clearance received. Let me keep trying that. Takeoff clearance received. Takeoff clearance received. Clearance received.
Flight controls.
Set and checked.
Checked. Flap setting.
Set and checked.
Config 2, radar and predictive wind shear system.
Set and checked.
Engine mode selector.
Set and checked.
Ecom memo.
Set and checked.
Taxi checklist completed.
Clear for departure.
Takeoff runway confirmed. Approach path clear of traffic. Cabin crew be seated for takeoff.
Okay, I see what I missed. I need to do a before taxi checklist. So now we did our runway entry procedure checklist. So let's go ahead and line up.
On this aircraft. Regulations require compliance with this information as well as all crew instructions, lighted information signs, and posted placards. Fasten your seatbelt by inserting the metal tip into the buckle. Tighten by pulling on the belt. To release your seatbelt, lift the metal flap on the buckle. It is our policy that you keep your seatbelt fastened at all times while seated. Doors are clearly marked with exit signs and instructions for door operation. Each door is equipped with an escape slide. Locate the exit nearest you. The nearest exit may be behind you. In an emergency, lights will illuminate the aisle. The cabin is pressurized. If there is a loss of cabin pressure, a panel will open and oxygen
So as far as
masks will
ground
appear.
handling is concerned,
Remain seated with your
I'm using my
seatbelt
rotor
fastened
pedals.
and pull a mask toward
I don't
you
have a
to start the
tiller.
flow of oxygen. Oxygen
It
will be
handles
flowing
very similar to the
mask,
Boeing
even though the bag may
737
not
series,
inflate.
so I'm not seeing
Cover
any
your nose and
differences.
mouth with the mask. Place
So
the
that's just
elastic band
something
around your
less to
head
worry about
and
here.
tighten by pulling
So
on
while
the
the
end.
flight attendant goes
Secure
over
your
this
own
taxi
mask
briefing,
before assisting others.
I'm just going to double check that
Your
my
seat
first
bottom
officers
cushion
took care of
may be used as a
everything.
flotation
So there's a
device.
packs
Pull
off
up and
takeoff.
remove the cushion. Upon
All
exiting the
lights
aircraft,
seem to be
place
on,
your arms
if
around
I'm
the
not
cushion and
mistaken.
hold on to the straps located on the
Let me
back.
see.
This is a
These seem to be all the
non-smoking
way
flight.
on? Yeah,
Smoking is
there
not
we go.
permitted in the cabin or lavatories. Cabin lights will now
All
be
the
turned off.
signs are
Reading
on.
light buttons are located above your seat. Thank you for your attention.
Okay, and I'm also going to use a timer here. Did they already use an elapsed timer here? Let me see. I want to do elapsed time from takeoff to landing. I wonder if it's working. Let's see. Okay, it's not working. I'm not going to worry about it. Line up checklist.
Takeoff runway.
Confirm.
Runway 11 confirmed. TCAS.
Set and checked.
Packs 1 and 2.
Off.
Lineup checklist completed.
Takeoff.
Check. Thrust set 100 knots.
Check.
View 1. Rotate. Positive climb.
Gear up. Gear up.
Gear up.
TAM 3297, reset transponder, Squawk 5601.
Squawk 5601, TAM 3297.
Okay, I knew I forgot something. So
Packs are on.
5601. Okay.
TAM 3297, contact Manaus Control 119.7.
Contact Manaus Control 119.7, TAM 3297. Manaus Control, TAM 3297, 2,900 feet.
TAM 3297, Manaus Control identified. Climb to flight level 170.
Climb to flight level 170, TAM 3297.
Flaps 1.
Speed checked.
Flap 0.
Speed checked. Standard cross-checked. Passing flight level 0, 5, 3. Now.
After takeoff checklist. Flaps up after takeoff.
Speed checked.
Okay, so I guess there is no after takeoff checklist on the Airbus. I was trying to look at some of the flows here on FS2 Crew. It's a little different. Okay, so I just have to say flap 0, and I already said that. So if I say it again, just let me check if anything else happens. Flaps 0.
Speed checked.
Okay, so we're good. We're passing 10,000, so let me see if she automatically turns the lights off. Yeah, she did. Okay, so runway turn off, landing off, nose gear off. We got beacon strobes. Looks like everything is good here. I'm gonna go ahead and turn off the seatbelts. And we can turn the APU up as well. But I should have done that on the ground, but that's fine. So passing 11,000. And we already set standard altimeter because it was lower here in Brazil. I know in the US we do it at 18,000. So we have a managed climb. We're gonna be going to 350 to start things off today, this afternoon, or this evening almost here in Brazil. Okay, so what I'm gonna do, I am going to pause the video and resume during descent. So I think I pretty much succeeded doing the departure. I immediately went to autopilot because I had forgotten to set my squawk code. But again, I noticed even initially after gear up, the aircraft seems to find its pitch angle, and so there's very little correction required on the side stick. So for that eternal Boeing versus Airbus rivalry, I suppose, there's definitely less input required when you're flying the Airbus compared to a Boeing airplane. So you have to, I guess, choose your liking, if you will, but also I'm trying to get smart on Airbus operations, and I referenced A330 drivers videos, Emmanuel's videos, and he mentioned that when he crossed over from Boeing to Airbus, during initial training, they make you practice a lot of hand flying. So it's not as automated as the myth
Center on 126, decimal 3,
you have to
TAM
also know how to fly the
3297.
aircraft manually.
Amazonico Center, TAM 3297, leaving flight level 144 for flight level 170.
Okay, gonna pause here, and we'll resume during descent.
Contact Tower 132.75, TAM 3289. Have a good evening.
Terrain ahead.
Sao Paulo Control, TAM 3297. Good evening, leaving 4,600 feet for flight level 170, direct low min.
Terrain ahead.
Terrain ahead.
TAM
Pull
3297,
up.
Sao Paulo Control departure, climb to flight level 170.
Terrain ahead.
Climb to flight
Pull
level
up.
170, TAM 3297.
Terrain ahead. Pull up. Terrain ahead. Pull up.
Too low. Terrain.
Terrain ahead. Pull up.
Too low.
All aircraft be
Terrain.
advised information Lima
Terrain
Delta
ahead.
QNH
Pull up.
1017.
Terrain ahead. Pull up. Terrain ahead. Pull up.
Okay, so we leveled up at 4,500. Had a
Terrain
little
ahead.
discrepancy with
Pull up.
beyond ATC, so I'm just going to keep that off for now. I'm going to continue our descent here. For, in other words, we're going to continue our approach for runway 10 right. Approach checklist.
Faro ref,
1016 set.
1016. Set seatbelts.
On.
Minimum.
Set and checked.
Auto brake.
Set and checked.
Engine mode selector.
Set and checked.
Approach checklist completed.
Activate approach phase. Flaps 1.
Speed checked.
Gear down.
Gear down. Cabin crew be seated for landing.
Flaps 2.
Speed checked.
Flaps 3.
Speed checked.
Flaps 4.
Speed checked.
Landing checklist.
Ecom memo.
Set and checked.
1000.
Landing checklist completed.
Okay, I'm gonna see how I do disengaging the autopilot here.
500.
Landing. Just making sure we have 2.5 degrees on the pitch.
100 above. Minimums.
Landing.
Checked.
100. 50, 40, 30, 20. Retard. 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 Retard.
Spoilers. No reverse engine 1 and engine 2. To sell. $70 knots.
Check. Okay, I think I just have to calibrate my throttles because they didn't fully cut off, and my plane did float a little bit, and it went beyond the touchdown zone. But compared to the 737, I guess yeah, the inputs are definitely less, and I know that flare is like right after that 30-foot call, you start making the flare. So I'm just gonna have to get used to how much strength I put into pulling back on the stick. So we'll see. So that's my first landing. Wasn't perfect, I can tell, but we're on the ground. We're down safe. We're gonna just Let me see if I can re-engage beyond ATC here, because again, it lost me. I don't know why. Let's see if it can give me a parking gate.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is the conclusion of our
Oh,
flight.
probably not.
Please
Okay, that's
remain
fine.
seated
I'm gonna
with
just
your
taxi on my
seatbelts
own.
fastened until the captain has turned off the seatbelt sign in the aircraft.
I'm not bashing beyond ATC.
Safely at the
It's been a great program to have, and they are putting up experimental updates very often, so I highly recommend it.
We'd like to thank you for flying with us today.
It's probably, I did walk away from the airplane, you know, as most simmers do. We have a lot of things to do. So during cruise I walked away, and maybe when I started beyond ATC again, it just probably didn't, it picked me up during a climb phase as opposed to during a descent phase, so I wasn't gonna bother with it right now. So let me see what we need to do to clean up here as I get familiar with the Airbus. So we have a checklist. After landing checklist.
Takeoff runway.
Confirmed.
Runway 11 confirmed. TCAS.
Cancel checklist.
Roger.
After landing checklist.
Radar and predictive wind shear system.
Off.
After landing checklist completed.
Start the APU.
Okay.
And it looks like we have some stuck traffic here because I don't see anything getting in the way of this airplane, so we're gonna go right through it. Sorry for the lack of realism. And I know my way to Sao Paulo real well, just based on a lot of flights there as a passenger. So we're gonna make our way to the western part of the airfield for the domestic terminal to get our Airbus parked. I was wondering about idle thrust earlier and taxiing. So we obviously burned some fuel, and the airplane was not full of payload. So right now we're taxiing on idle. I haven't applied any throttle this whole time. So that's kind of nice to have realistically reproduced. Also, if I'm not mistaken, between Manaus and Sao Paulo there were a lot of storms, but there was nothing on the radar. So I'm assuming that Fenix has not yet decided to go with the very rudimentary Asobo API for weather returns on the radar. Some of you are aware that PMDG has done that, and Inebills has also done that with their aircraft. So now you can get a basic weather radar function. And I know that's a debate as to, I don't know if it's copyrights or willingness to share the data or not, but we still are missing a realistic weather radar overall for flights in 2020, and I'm assuming it's going to be the same case for flights in 2024. So some patience, I guess. So while we taxi into the gate, I don't know, I'm guilty of making a lot of jokes between Airbus and Boeing flying, but this is actually my first Airbus flight, and again, our perception is that Airbus seems to be so automated. But just listening to people like Emmy on his videos, again, I mentioned this earlier, but he did stress very clearly that when he transitioned from Boeing to Airbus, the training began with how to fly the plane by hand before they learned the automation behind the plane. Yeah, they are two completely different beasts when it comes to the theory of how they should be flying. So obviously with Boeing, you can do a lot of inputs. You still have hydraulics, you can still feel the airplane. With this fly-by-wire side stick, the trim's already automatic, so you're not really going to feel the plane much, and if you overcorrect, too much pitch up, too much pitch down, the plane's going to try to fix itself, and I'm not going to use the word override because the pilot's ultimately in command, but the plane has a lot of envelope protections. So I guess it's really going to come down to taste as to what you prefer to fly. I want to get proficient in both. So my first airliner in Flight Sim 2020 was the CRJ. From what I understand, Asobo is making some significant updates to the CRJ for a version 2, if you will. I'm looking forward to it and just get reacquainted with the CRJ, so that way I can be doing. My goal is to be able to just do Boeing flights and Airbus flights and CRJ flights, and have enough muscle memory to differentiate between what I'm flying and what I'm not flying, and just really enjoy the simulator for what it is. So looking forward to see what happens with the CRJ. Also next week, well this week, Universal is going to preview its A350 series, and just doing a lot of 747 flights. I'm sorry, 777 flights. I want to see how the Airbus A350 series flies. That should be pretty interesting, so I'm gonna give it a try. Again, I've been resisting getting this Airbus for years. I really enjoy my Boeing, and I'm unapologetic Boeing fan, but I really want to learn how to fly other aircraft. And again, well, let me get this gate right, I'm talking too much. I think this gate's diagonal. Let's see, this is a gate 402 Romeo. I think we need to come in this way. Yeah. Okay, 402 Romeo. Let me also call it up on GSX. And I know I should be turning off taxi lights and whatnot. Let's see, 402 Romeo. Let's see if it appears in the choices here. While I do that, let me just stop the plane. No follow me. We want to do, I guess, anything worldwide flight. Yeah, it works. Okay, I see a marshaller. I see a truck. So let's get some lights off here. I don't think my first officer is going to do that. Well, let me see what the flows are. My next flow is to say shut down engine 2. So let me see what happens there. Shut down engine 2. Okay, so engine 2 is shut down, but I still see the runway turn off and taxi lights are still on. So let's turn them off so we don't blind our marshaller. Confirm everything else is off, and we're gonna just taxi in. So there's our marshaller. Let me see. So now we're on one engine. Okay, this is something I haven't tried with the Airbus. Well, okay, it's my first Airbus flight. So with the 737, my rudder pedals work very well for ground control when I'm on engine number 1 only when I'm coming into park. So I'm gonna see if it's the same for Airbus here. So I'm gonna turn into the line here, see what happens. Yeah, okay, it's the same way, same handling. Okay, so let's just get straight here and follow our way to the marshaller. Okay. I think we're going straight. Let's see. Okay, we'll stop. Parking brake set. Cutoff number 1. Okay, oops. Number 1 and number 2 are off. Cabin crew, disarm slides and cross-check. Parking checklist.
Parking brake or
Set.
chocks? Engines.
Off.
Wing lights.
Off.
Fuel pumps.
Off.
Parking checklist completed.
Okay, chocks and cones are on, so I'm gonna release the parking brake. I'm assuming it's the same procedure as Boeing. When you have chocks on, you can release the parking brake. And let's see. I want to see what the cabin looks like before we finish today. Let me see how much my drone has drifted since the flight began. That's not too bad. Okay, so there I am. Just want to see the interior of the cabin. I think I'm supposed to see animated. Yeah, there they are. Okay, that's working. All right, let's get back into the cockpit here. Okay, so that was my first Airbus A321. Well, my first Airbus Fenix series flight. Again, I'm gonna tag Emmy, A330 driver Emmanuel, when I publish this because his videos for learning how to fly the Airbus have been amazing. And I only downloaded the package yesterday, and I went ahead and installed lots of liveries, and again reviewed the videos, read about how the airplane flies, and just carefully watched how Emmanuel was doing it. So I recommend anything with Emmanuel and the Fenix Airbus series. He has some very good videos. So as I learn to fly this Airbus a lot more, I'll put up some other videos, and of course I'll stick to my love of Boeing and do plenty more PMDG flights as well. And again, looking forward to see what Aerosoft does with the CRJ. So that's it from here in Sao Paulo. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you again in the next flight. Take care.